This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Looks like unemployment insurance may be coming back from the dead. One state is paying out unemployment insurance while the other may retroactively pay back that $300 per week. I'll give you more details on that. We'll go over these two stimulus articles right here. Thousands of Americans living abroad got stimulus checks. And a fourth stimulus check update, group to urge Congress for $1,400 payments to some Americans. When it comes to the big package, looks like progressives are starting to lose faith. Ilhan Omar doesn't think it's going to happen next week, and AOC thinks the entire thing is going to be gutted. I'll play some video clips giving the latest updates, and I'll give you some other more important information as well. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So thousands of Americans living abroad got stimulus checks. Here's why. So this is going to a lot of people. I guess it's saying that 3.7 million payments worth up to 5.5 billion went to individuals living outside the 50 states and Washington, D.C. So these are U.S. citizens living abroad, also people living in other territories, saying that it's less than 1%. But let me get your opinion on this. Should people living outside of America be able to get those stimulus checks? Should that money be used for people who are living within the 50 states? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Also, another stimulus check article, fourth stimulus check update, group to urge Congress for $1,400 payments to some Americans. This is that petition for the $1,400 stimulus check for senior citizens. I haven't seen this number updated in a while, but now it says 75,000 people have signed the petition for $1,400 stimulus checks. With all their efforts and publicity and trying to get Congress on board, I'm actually surprised that it only has 75,000 people who signed up for the $1,400 stimulus checks. Maybe people on Social Security and seniors haven't heard about this, but there has been a lot of articles. But let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Should just seniors get the $1,400 check? Should it be extended to people with disabilities like SSDI, veterans, other people with fixed income? Should it be extended, or should it just be for senior citizens getting those $1,400 checks? Let me know your thoughts on that. Also, there is more need for stimulus checks. So food prices rise highest since August of 2020. And what it's saying here is grocery inflation rose to 2.1% in October, the highest rate since last year when retailers were cutting promotions amid the COVID pandemic. And also, U.S. food banks struggle to feed hungry amid surging prices. U.S. banks dealing with increased demand from families sidelined by pandemic now face new challenge, surging food prices and supply chain issues. So when it comes to food prices, looks like it keeps going up and up, as well as inflation and other supply chain issues. Let me know, have you seen the prices continually going up? I know it's high in general, but has it gone up recently? Looks like October was a really bad month for that. And inflation probably sped up in October, dashing Washington's hope for a quick slowdown. So they kept saying that, this inflation is transitory, it's gonna pass on. So far hasn't really passed on, but what the Fed Vice Chairman Clarida says is inflation is on track to fade despite overshoots. So this is probably what the people want to hear. Not sure if it's true or not, because months ago we heard that it was just going to be maybe a month or two of inflation. Now it's lasting, and it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. So basically what he said here is these imbalances are likely to dissipate over time as the labor market and global supply chains eventually adjust, and importantly do so without putting persistent upward pressure on price inflation and wage gains adjusted for productivity. But let me be clear on 2 points. Then he talks about how inflation so far this year represents to me much more than a moderate overshoot of our 2% longer inflation run objective, and I would not consider a repeat performance next year for policy success. So saying that inflation will go down, we're not really sure whether or not that's true. We've heard politicians months ago say that it was going to go away, but yet it hasn't gone away yet, which calls the need for a more fourth stimulus check. So if we look at the petition here, $2,000 per month to every American, currently at 2,946,000 signatures so far, and still not in any bill, not in the big bill. When it comes to unemployment, so Virginia Employment Commission resolves unemployment claims backlog, must now clear another one. So what happened here is the Virginia Employment Commission has fulfilled a federal court agreement to resolve more than 92,000 paid unemployment claims, but the state agency has 2 weeks to clear another backlog. So if you're in Virginia and you've been waiting for, you're one of the 92,000 people who didn't get the unemployment claims paid, looks like that's going to be paid. And then it looks like another one is going to happen. So I'll keep you updated on that. Also, when it comes to past $300 per week unemployment boosts, looks like that may be coming back as well. So Ohio Supreme Court to review whether Governor Mike DeWine wrongly rejected $300 per week unemployment aid. So Ohio, among I think it was 25 other states, have stopped that $300 per week unemployment before it was done back in September. And as a result, a lot of people sued. There were court cases. I thought it was all over, but it looks like here the Ohio Supreme Court announced Tuesday it would hear whether Ohio should be required to retroactively accept and distribute hundreds of millions of dollars in special federal coronavirus unemployment benefits rejected by Governor Mike DeWine earlier this year. So retroactively pay back those unemployment benefits. So looks like we could be looking at retroactive unemployment checks in Ohio. If it does go through, it's definitely going to set a precedent for other states as well to try to get that retroactively paid back as well. So when it comes to the big package, looks like they're not, looks like the faith is starting to fade a little bit. So AOC fears Biden spending will be gutted after progressives gave up infrastructure bill leverage. So basically what it was all about was leverage. It looks like that the progressives were okay with the infrastructure bill, but they just wanted leverage to pass the Build Back Better plan as well. So here is what AOC said, speaking in third person. The Congresswoman stuck to her word and voted against the infrastructure bill in order to try to keep these two bills tied together. She was always prepared to vote for infrastructure bill alongside BBB, which is the Build Back Better, but she could not support the infrastructure bill on its own and risk losing our only leverage for policies in the BBB that New York-14 so badly needs. So basically saying that, yeah, it's true. Progressives don't really have much leverage in this position anymore, and the Build Back Better plan may never pass, and there's really no leverage or way to negotiate, no bargaining chips. Also, Representative Ilhan Omar, who's also part of the squad with the representatives, doubts Biden's social spending bill vote will happen next week. So the reason why is because of the CBO scoring. So if I could get this to load, it was just up a moment ago. So yeah, here we go. So the CBO says social spending bill score will take longer in potential blow to Democrats' timing. So basically, the Democrats were waiting for the CBO score in order to know whether or not that this bill is worth voting for, if it needs to be fixed. So what it says here is Congressional Budget Office. They said Tuesday that, or actually let me get to the quote right here. We anticipate releasing estimates for individual titles of the bill as we complete them, some of which will be released this week. Other estimates will take longer, particularly for provisions in some titles to interact with other titles. We determine a release date to the cost estimate for the entire bill. We will provide advance notice. So basically, they have no idea when it's going to be done, and it could be a lot longer than next week. So we'll see. It's all riding on the CBO score at the moment for the Build Back Better plan. If we don't get the score, then it looks like that's just going to be put on the back burner for now. Here is Representative Gottheimer talking more about this.
Now to Capitol Hill, where the focus is on a handful of moderate Democrats holding up the president's $1.75 trillion human infrastructure bill. Those 5 lawmakers say they want to see the CBO score, a detailed rundown of how much it will cost before agreeing to support the bill. I've got one of them with us right now, New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer, co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. Congressman, first, I want to congratulate you. The bipartisan bill, huge, huge achievement. I know you've been working on it for months, but let's talk human infrastructure. Why bring this CBO score up so late in the game?
Well, first, Stephanie, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for pointing out the big win for our country, bipartisan, I'd add, right? Democrats and Republicans came together, fix our roads, our bridges, our obviously the Gateway Tunnel between New York and New Jersey, get that going, our water infrastructure, rails, transit system, so much that's good for the country, 2 million jobs a year. And to bring up the other package, which also is very important, something that I've supported, the reconciliation package called Build Back Better, that will help us reinstate SALT, the state and local tax deduction, and get taxes down for people in my district. What we asked for, and as you know, Stephanie, we got the bill basically final language on Thursday night. And there were new things added, so we had questions to make sure that we understood how it's paid for, to understand exactly what's in it. And we think it's the responsible thing to do to read that bill. It's 2,000 pages, the new bill, and to compare it to the old text, which was also 2,000 pages. We've had people working around the clock to make sure we know what's in there, and make sure it's great for our districts. And I'm optimistic that that'll happen. And the numbers that we got, we hope will match up with what we received already from the White House and Treasury on some of the data on the cost of the bill, and see how they match up with the investments. So I'm optimistic that the data we will get next week, which we're expecting, will all match up and we'll be able to move forward.
Let's talk about taking a victory lap on the hard infrastructure bill. The markets yesterday hitting new highs in large part because of the bill you passed. Yet Democrats say nothing. It's like you don't want to take credit for good news on Wall Street because it alienates people. Now, the markets and the economy are not the same thing, but when Wall Street wins, Main Street doesn't lose. Half of American households have some form of investment in the market. I'm talking pensions, 401ks. By Democrats continuing to say nothing, you cede the ground for Republicans to continue to push a false narrative that they're the only party that looks at things like the markets.
Well, listen, Stephanie, where I live, this is a huge deal for everybody, right? I mean, fixing our roads and bridges and tunnels and making life easier to get to work and fighting climate change are all great things for the economy. And obviously, when you're talking about competing with China, which last year spent $3.7 trillion on infrastructure outside of China, it's just, this took us 3 decades to get this package together, and we did it in a bipartisan way, right? 69 in the Senate, and we got 13 Republicans to vote for it and really come through strong on Friday on the bipartisan bill. But you're right, we should take a huge win, and the country should take a huge, take a victory lap as well. There's other legislation too that we're working on, separate bills you pointed out, that also is going to be great for the country and helping with childcare and fight climate change and reinstate SALT and get our taxes down. Those are all great things too. But you're right, Stephanie, when the economy does well and the country does well, we should all take a victory lap, Democrats and Republicans.
Can you help me understand sort of a sticking point in the human infrastructure bill? Why is it that more people can't get on board for paid family leave, right, after someone has a baby? Yet where it stands right now, if I bought a private plane, I could get 100% write-off in year 1. So to me, it sure sounds like you don't want to do something that would help millions of people, but there's a free hookup on the top end for the richest of the rich. How do you square those two?
Well, I can't speak for my colleagues who don't support giving people time off for paid leave, and you've got a loved one or a family member sick, or you just had a baby. It doesn't make any sense to me. And in New Jersey, we do that already, and also other key investments here, like helping people with childcare and making sure we have universal pre-K so that people have all the opportunity, our children have all the opportunity. That just makes sense to me. But listen, what matters is talking about these issues and making sure we explain to people what we're fighting for. And Stephanie, sometimes, right, folks aren't always good at that and aren't willing to do it. I think we should be out there talking about how we're fighting for people. I know that's why, I talk about how we got to make life more affordable for families around here, which is why we need to reinstate SALT and get that deduction, help people get some tax relief. But you got to listen to folks, and what they want is action. They want us to fight for them, and I think both these bills do that.
Do you want the president to take action as it relates to gas? Republicans who claim the president sets the price of gasoline are obviously wrong. However, he has levers. He can invest in gas reserves. That would, at least in the short term, impact prices. Do you want him to do something?
Yeah, I expect him to take action. I know he's tapping the strategic reserve already. As you point out, it's a global market. It's why, and frankly, we're dealing with huge supply chain issues, which the infrastructure bill, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, are going to help address with our ports, making sure we fix our rail systems, right? We've got to fix our roads so that you're not hitting potholes. In Jersey, we've got the 3rd worst roads in the country. That's very tough for truck drivers who are trying to move these goods. And we've got huge backup issues from COVID, as you know, in the global supply chain. So these are issues that this infrastructure bill addresses, and the president obviously can take additional measures. But people have to understand we're trying to catch up from COVID here. But I know that they're like, listen, we got to get these gas prices down. We got to help people with prices at the grocery store, and that means getting the supply chain moving and taking every step we can to do that.
Important to remember and put that in perspective, where we were a year ago in COVID and where we are today. It has been tremendous.
That's exactly
Congressman,
right.
Your thoughts on what Representative Gottheimer has to say. Is it going to get done? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Here is Representative Tim Kaine talking more too.
We go now to Senator Tim Kaine, who joins us from Richmond. Good morning to you, Senator.
Hey, Margaret. Good to be with you.
The president says he is confident that this spending bill, the Build Back Better Act, will pass the House mid-month, but it just got bigger. Paid leave is back in it. Prescription drug pricing is back in it. Modifications to state and local taxes. So doesn't this reopen another battlefront?
Well, Margaret, I think the president got the infrastructure bill to his desk this week. That's going to do great in Virginia. Port improvements, broadband improvements, transportation, both doing good things for the economy and hiring people into good jobs. And then the education and workforce bill that I've worked very hard on, it's going to pass. I think congressional Democrats blew the timing. We should have passed these bills in early October. If we had, it would have helped Terry McAuliffe probably win the governor's race. It would have been good for President Biden. But we are going to get these bills done. They're great for every zip code in this country, and I'm really excited to be working on them.
But on that issue of paid family leave, does it end up in or out of this bill? It wasn't quite clear from the White House. You did hear Cedric Richmond say there just aren't the votes. Will there be?
Well, I would say Cedric is wise not to completely predict what 50 Democratic senators will do. As you know, this bill will get 0 Republican votes, just like the American Rescue Plan in March that produced such good benefits for every zip code. No Republicans would support it, and this bill won't get Republican votes either. So what will 50 Democrats agree to? I am a strong supporter of paid child and family leave, but remember this, Margaret, everybody who cares about paid child and family leave also cares about the child tax credit. They care about affordable child care. They care about pre-kindergarten. Right. And in that bucket of issues that matters to families and children, without being able to predict that everything that everyone wants will be fully funded for as long as we want, that bucket of issues for families and kids is going to be so powerful. I think this will be the biggest pro-child bill that will have been done in the history of this country. It will be to children what Social Security was to seniors. So I'm confident about that, even if some pieces of it are still being negotiated.
And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Oh, hi guys, I didn't see you there. Just so you know, you guys are great to me. You guys are special to me. I need you here beside me. And you are so nice. Do you know why? Because you're so nice.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. All is good with us. Kids are good. Wife is good. Everyone's all good. Hopefully you are good too on this Wednesday. If you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here or down here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for watching.